5, 4, 3. Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 289 is titled, Why So Guarded? Tonight, Jay will tell us all about his Young Life camp trip and dive into why young people seem to be more open than adults. That's why we are talking about that. That's what we were talking about at the table this evening. Pull up a seat at the table and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later on YouTube at Lunchtime in Rome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you would give us a 5-star review. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
At the table, we strive to love one another and help you to do the same. Some weeks we'll have someone join us so that you can get to know them and learn a little bit about yourself in the process. Other weeks, like this one, we dive into a topic. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That's what we do. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is
Lunchtime in Rome.
Strong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Joe is back with us. Amy Hammond is with us as well.
Everybody.
Like, boom, they're here.
Wow,
It's
I get like
explosive.
a explosive. All right.
Explosive, not ominous.
Are those the
Not
two buttons you
destructive.
have on the...
And
I wouldn't be surprised.
my favorite is...
Classic. So, how's everybody?
Fine.
Good.
Hi.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I think you're better than fine, is my point.
No, I'm fine. Because
I'm not joining him at all.
so we'll talk about this real quick. So Maggie had her last softball game of the spring season. They lost their first playoff game.
She get any hits?
Oh yeah, she's never struck out since she's been playing softball. So got some natural talent there.
Sure.
But she's gonna have a tournament later in July, and fall ball is gonna come before we know it, and all that fun stuff. So, but it was kind of like it was bittersweet. Like they were done. Like the team just didn't look like them. It was hot, and they haven't been used to playing in hot weather because of the way, this spring early summer has gone.
Started in cold.
So, but it was still fun.
Is that today?
No. Because we're doing this was since we were off last week.
Got it.
So that's why I was giving that update. Right. No, my mind is on vacation, which we're leaving soon, and I shut down my computer. My out of office email is up. Like,
That's got to be so freeing.
it's that is very freeing. So like half the weight has been taken off. The second half is doing all the prep before we leave.
Yeah, but that's exciting.
I don't want to mow the grass right now.
It's a great. I had great.
I mean,
mow
it's
today.
going to be satisfying when it's over.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Going to leave the house looking good. But then in my mind, I'm like, but I'm going to come back to it looking like it is like currently right now. Whatever.
Depends if we get some hot weather.
But
Maybe it
it's
doesn't grow.
fine, whatever. And, packing, making sure we got everything checked off. But we have, a couple of days to do that still, which is good. We're in a good spot. But I don't know if I've ever been more ready for a vacation.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Yes, I am very excited too. I'm like, I have one more day of work, so I didn't forgot you had off tomorrow, so I was like, oh.
That's my beautiful bride on the mic. I don't think we said Amy was here.
We did.
Okay,
We did.
sorry.
Hi, everybody.
I was producing the show. That's my bad.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Oh, you mean it that way? Amy.
Hey, that's
I mean,
after dark lunchtime.
That's it for episode 289.
That's a midnight snack in room.
one more day of work and counting across the finish line here.
Yep.
Very close, so
It's
very
almost
excited.
Maggie's birthday.
Ready for
Yes.
vacation?
I am ready. I'm just keep looking at the weather, and I'm hoping it changes a little bit. But
No,
I'm gonna be
those are
fine.
afternoon showers. If you read
right.
it, even though it says like 40% chance of showers.
Yes, you're good at reading the
It
weather app
says
better than me.
mostly sunny, chance of afternoon showers.
Okay.
So those
All
are going to
right.
be the fun thunderstorms
True.
that you want to see.
Beach thunderstorms are fun.
That's
Yeah,
all
they
it is. And that starts Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday. It's fine.
Okay, so we're all
right.
of us at the table tonight are going on this trip.
On a market ship. Into the skies, little Einstein.
I'm a boy.
Wait,
They're not deaf.
You didn't tell me about that one.
What was it?
No, that
It's so quiet, but it's like,
yeah. So, what are we most excited about vacation?
Is that going to keep going on?
Not anymore.
Here we go.
Sorry, we were outside.
do you guys
for a
remember
second.
your first podcast? Because
Burn?
all right,
Let's pass the mic around. So, what are we most excited about?
Yeah.
That's a very valid point.
So we're going to the same place we did last year, but last year we got rained out.
And we only went for a few days, and Joe wasn't
I
there
didn't
at all.
go at all.
right,
Right. And I really like this place. It's definitely our vibe. It's Sandbridge, Virginia,
Not 12 hours away.
right? It's small, quaint beach town. You know, there's maybe one condo at the one end, I think.
Apparently, no. Apparently, at the far end, there's a bunch because people on the community board, I keep saying board, page on Facebook that I joined are like, well, we're staying in the blankety blank
That's down by
section.
the park, though, or whatever.
Yeah.
Not on our end, right?
down by the PRCK.
Yeah. And so I'm excited to just have a good beach time there because we didn't really get it last
No.
year.
Yeah.
So I want some good beach time there.
What are your thoughts on? So where we're staying is right on the border of a naval base.
Yeah.
There's like a fence that literally goes out. So like, I think it's not going to be crowded
Right.
at all where we are.
I don't think so either.
But I said, Rachel, if you want to go for a walk,
Walk one way, not
only
the other.
one direction.
that's true.
But I'm thinking like maybe there might be some good shelling up by where we are.
What if you just maybe go across the little fence there and see what happens?
Oh yeah.
I'll bring my military ID.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll certainly work. They're like, no, sir, I'm here. Official business.
Sir? Sir?
Even if you are Navy. What are you doing on land?
Yeah. So I'm most
Yeah.
excited to hopefully get some really good beach time because last year we really didn't have any good beach time.
No, the water was apparently abnormally cold.
Physically hurt.
It was
How hot
terrible.
it is? How hot is it today, Jay?
I looked earlier, but I'll look right now for everybody.
Well, what was it earlier?
I'm putting in my guess of 82.
82. I'm going 80.
Amy, guess?
81.
Okay. All right.
80.8 degrees.
That's Amy.
It's you.
No, it's
Price
me.
is right
Yeah.
rules.
That Price is Right rules. I'll go with
Yeah.
that.
That's according to this app, but I've been also looking at separate websites. So
Who to trust?
Jay's big on the water temp.
big
Big water temp guy.
I'll take it.
81.9 according to seatemperature.info. Seatemperature.net, it is 27.2 degrees,
Celsius.
even though it says Fahrenheit. But they mean Celsius.
The poll 120.
Yeah. 80 today, 81
Let's
tomorrow.
put some ice in the pool.
Remember I thought of that last year? No. I don't thought of it somewhere.
I mean, last year the pool we had was heated.
I don't remember.
That's a hot tub.
Is that why I wasn't very deep?
Yeah. So anyway, what are you guys looking forward to most?
For me, I mean, certainly beach, hot, tan, cooking lots of seafood,
Eating all the
Cue
seafood. that Jay-
applause.
Yeah.
playing disc golf whenever
Shrimp salad.
I want to.
Ooh, yeah.
Shrimp salad. Yeah. Little Mexican street corn. Maybe corn in the shrimp salad.
Yeah.
Oh, and I am looking forward to that farmer's market that's down there. Farm stand.
Yeah.
Gosh, wait till you see it. I showed him pictures.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
Yeah.
That's down there.
Oh, yeah.
Because Lauren went on their way out, and she keeps talking about. I talked to her last night, and she just couldn't. She just kept
It's
raving
just the
about
most
it.
comically
Yeah. Said it was
gorgeous
so good.
farm stand you've ever been to.
Yeah.
3 different
It's
people
ridiculous.
touch a piece of fruit or vegetable before it gets out to there to make sure it
Yeah.
looks so clean. And they put small quantities out so it doesn't get sweaty. I mean, it's so much.
It's
right.
next level.
Okay.
Yes. So all that, hanging out with people, enjoying,
Yep.
Yep.
maybe even fishing. I bought some
Yes.
lures.
Hey.
And if we do get like a cloudy or rainy day, what a great activity.
True.
And I read that you're allowed to paddleboard on the bay if you want. So if we wanted to rent paddleboards, but they said just wear copious amounts of bug spray.
Bug spray.
That made Rachel
Oh,
out.
said
Yeah.
nope.
I'm going to say the
Dragonflies.
same. I had enough bug bites on our disc golf trip. I'm good for the year.
Let alone to paddleboard. Like to get a bug bite for disc golfing.
Yeah.
All right. but
Struggling with a paddleboard
Right.
and getting bitten by bugs.
falling onto a root in muddy water.
For all those times that I've been paddleboarding,
Yes, which would be a grand total of same as mine.
I'm guessing yes.
Yes, 0.
Yep.
Joe,
The beach.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to go to the beach last year. Because I was in Kentucky for 6 weeks.
Getting some good bocce disc golf going.
oh, I forgot about disc golf.
Dude, I love bocce
Just,
disc
I don't
golf.
even.
We've played
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah, we've played it.
Yeah, you
Joe's
played
played
it
it
at
before.
Sunset Beach.
It's like bocce ball only with discs. So
I never played that.
Joseph.
Yeah. So you put, we have a marker, and then you throw the discs, and however many of yours you get closer, you get points.
Oh, disc golf bocce.
Why didn't I say so?
I said bocce disc golf. I'm an idiot.
So stupid.
And Maggie's into softball, so bring out the glove. Have some glove time on the beach. Yeah.
So the one time of year I'm like, yeah, I do like throwing with the
Yeah, I know, right?
That's one thing I haven't bought. Was like a really good far throwing Nerf Vortex.
I have one.
Good.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I could bring it. Yep.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
So, other updates, Joe? Anything exciting for the table?
My car's still broken. I still don't have a
Aw.
car.
Yeah.
The bleeder valve is not valving.
Oh.
Right.
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 Your,
Right.
your bleeder valve clotted.
No, it's broken. It's leaking. It's still in the opposite. Actually, it's leaking.
I was just looking at. I was mowing today. Was my mow day.
Yeah.
And pushing the mower over the driveway, and I picked up a rock, and God, it was so great. Hurt so bad, right on the shin. Well, just next to the shin bone. But I mean, I was like, yeah. I looked down, and blood's pouring down. I was like, there we go.
There's the little injury before vacation. I feel like I always get some kind of little like cut that's like annoying, like it's on a knuckle or something like that. I don't know. It's just something that always
Self
happens.
sabotage.
Yeah.
Sabotage. Rachel is right now using, well, probably done by now, her birthday gifts. Her birthday is tomorrow. And so she was going to Barnes & Nobles and Half Price Books and
Oh yeah.
Dick's to get her books for
right.
vacation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Some extra T-shirts and whatnot. She said if you look back over the years of vacation pictures, it's like same shirt, same shirt, like that she wears the same shirts.
We all
on
care so
vacation.
much.
Well, I mean,
Right.
I
I've
was like,
noticed.
honey, you don't have to tell us. I mean,
Right.
we've seen the website. Rachel's redundantshirts.com. But Joe, anything? Yeah, you're excited for vacation. Any other updates?
Not really.
No.
No.
You want to fight at work?
I did win a fight at work.
Yeah.
23-year-old chef at Seneca was talking, and he goes, I bet I could beat you in a fight. I said, no, you couldn't. And he goes, yes, I could. I said, great. So we walked into like a private dining room where no one was, moved
Not.
the
I'll
table.
see you in the parking lot.
No, we just stayed in the
You
building.
gotta throw down in the air conditioning.
Right. And moved the table, and I beat him.
Does he
And-
have any form of training like you
No.
do?
No.
I mean, you guys said no punches. It was just
Right. We were,
Grappling
Yeah.
and like
Rolling or
wrestling
whatever.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
but then, yeah, so I, within minutes, put him in an arm bar and was just like, tap or I'm going to break your arm. And he goes, no, man, you're not going to do that, because he already has a lisp. He goes, I'm not doing that, man.
Before the
I'm not
fight.
doing that,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
And so I just start to do it. And he goes, all right, man, I'll tap out. This is stupid. This is stupid.
Were all the residents there in a ring, like on
Yeah,
their
yeah,
wheelchairs?
yeah.
They're just watching, like cheering you guys on. And,
That
What
would
are
be
they
so
doing?
great
That
if you
would-
guys started like
right? Seneca Fight
Club.
Club.
Seneca Fight Club.
Yes.
but then they get in on it.
Well, no, because they never remember.
Couldn't tell anybody.
wow.
Half of them couldn't.
Yeah.
Because what's the
great.
what's the first rule of Fight Club?
Don't talk about fighting.
There you go.
What would Gwen say?
Awfully magnanimous of you.
She's the smartest resident, maybe anywhere. She's like 90 something, and tells the best stories in the world.
Well, you know, my third grade teacher, I think her name was Betsy Marie.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and she just had this talk about her.
She knows everybody's name. Oh, she's delightful. Never married, and never drank, and it's quite apparent why both. Not why both, but she's way too smart. I mean, no man would ever be able to handle her.
Right.
Takes care of her brother in a different nursing home.
That's one of the things that cracks me up about nursing homes and stuff like that. Like, she is his power of attorney, and she's like 15 years older than him.
Wow.
And like when Dr. Barnes,
Red flags are going up in Amy's head right now.
I have a new case for you. My last day before
Yeah,
vacation.
right.
Amy works with the olds, as Bella would
Not
say.
just exclusively.
sadly,
Yes.
well,
Very sadly.
you'd like to only work with
Yeah.
the olds.
Yeah.
Well, it would. Yeah.
Amy works in hospice, and sometimes there's younger people in hospice, and it's horrible.
Yes, but still dignified.
Yep.
Podcast took a dark turn.
It did. Let's get back up.
What's the
Can you play the
saddest?
boing?
What's the saddest one you've ever seen? No. But to that same end that I was just talking about with Dr. Barnes, this lady was 102.
Rest in peace. 104.
Four.
Wow.
And like when I was being told about it, they said, well, you know, her kids were here, but they got tired. I mean, they're 85. And just like, oh, yeah.
Right.
Because I think, oh, their kids are here. Like, oh, about my age,
Yes.
whatever else. No, they're
Right.
85. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even in our world, our immediate world of church, you know, everybody talked about, man, Chuck was 96 years old when he passed away. And then a couple weeks later, I took Bernice over to visit some people. And I'm like, you're what, 80? She's like, I'm 85. And I was like, wow. Like, we were so fixated on Chuck being 96.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, she got it all going on
man.
for 85.
Yeah.
Chuck was 11 years older than her?
Second marriage for both,
Well,
I think. Definitely for her. I think. I don't know. Anyhow, point of the story is we are excited for vacation is the point.
Yes.
And if I were to give an update, it would include me going on my first Young Life camp trip professionally in 17 years. Took Joe and Mia and Colleen Houlihan and 3 other folks to Lake Champion in 2018-ish.
no.
What was your junior year? It was after your freshman year, 17. A few years ago.
2018.
Yeah, after all that. And so that's going to be the launch point for what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do that, we would like to thank Groot from the Hooked on Jesus podcast, Laurie Ann, Bethany Jaworski, Mary Lynn, and Ashley Cesarato, and Breaking 90 for sitting at the head of the table. And they do that by financially supporting the podcast by going to lunchtimeinroom.com and becoming a paid subscriber. And we've been teasing different things, but I'm going to throw out for the next 5 people
Yeah.
who become paid subscribers, which mean they sit at the head of the table, we're going to give them 2 months free.
Okay.
I love the deafening silence. So for 2 months, you can sit at the head of the table and you're going to get your money back.
Yeah. I like
And
it.
then you can cancel and it's scot-free, but until we hope you won't. That's
Yeah.
what we're saying, because you're going to receive all the benefits and all the glory. And so for the next 5 people, you have been sitting there saying, I want to sit at the head of the table. I've been waiting for all the perks, but it's about the best perk you're going to get for a while, because we want to have merch, we want to have stuff, but we're at least going to give you 2 months free.
Yeah.
So I didn't pass that past the guard, but
No.
Eric said, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You can give as much as you want. Like, it's not, you can,
Right, it's
there's some
not-
preset amounts, but like you can give whatever you
Whatever
want.
you want, you're
Whatever
gonna-
you think it's worth to
You're
you.
going to get it back in the first 2 months.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of that, and we'll contact you. And you might say, well, there's 4 of you who lead this podcast, but only 2 of you have said it's okay. But Eric and I make up 70% of the podcast. So it works out.
Burn.
Oh,
So in the week...
I also approve of this podcast.
oh, well, as the
0% stakeholder in this podcast.
0% stakeholder, but yet, actually, your next goal should be Chris or Brian.
Who's been on more?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
It would have to be Chris.
It would have to be Chris.
right.
Yeah.
As it is.
Yep.
So in the week leading up to, there's Groot right now.
Hey, buddy.
The camp trip. It was an amazing exercise in frustration and faith, because it was all the administrative stuff while the relational stuff of getting kids to go. That I can do that, but the administrative stuff and the forms and the everything else, it was agonizing. And this marathon to get on the bus at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning.
And for Young Life, where is this Young Life camp?
Lake Champion, which is in Glen Spey, New York, just north of Scranton, PA.
Gotcha.
And for those of you who don't know, who haven't been sitting at the table with us very long, Young Life is a ministry that reaches out ideally to kids who don't go to church. So it's not a youth group, and it's formulated on building relationships with kids and living the life of Christ in front of them so that they can clearly understand who he is and make a pressure-free decision as to how he relates to them and they relate to him, and loving them regardless of their decision. So, I went through this process, and I was just stressing about because they have this computer system you use now, and you got to get all the health forms. And I get on the bus, and we're sharing a bus with his name's Zay, but he does Young Life in Perry on the north side, and whereas Penn Hills is a urban suburban school, Perry is a urban school. And I was explaining to him how I was stressed out, and I tried my best, and I got 8 guys to go, and we have 16 kids going from the eastern suburbs. Woodland Hills brought 6 girls, 2 guys. I had 8 guys. And I said, there's one, like if they have any medications, they have to have their doctor sign a medical waiver, whether it's even over the counter. If they regularly take a medication,
Okay, so
they
it's
have to get a
kids.
signed medical waiver from their doctor to the doctors at camp so the camp doctors can administer the medications. And so I had all my physicals in, but I didn't have like 1 or 2 medical waivers. And I'm telling him this because he's been on staff for 5 years and I'm brand new. I only started in April. And he puts his hand on his head and he just kind of shakes a little bit. He goes, man, I mean, I got 18 kids here. I think I got 2 health forms. I go, I'm sorry, what? He goes, they know who I'm bringing, right? They're going to work with me. We'll figure something out. And I'm like, I have been staying away, looking at tutorials on websites, and people are asking me, are you on Salesforce? Are you on Knowledge? Or are you on whatever else? And yet,
Is that Zay? Is that Zay?
That's Zay.
Yeah.
It was so chill about it.
Zay's the man. Because, like, what are they going to do?
I mean, it's a bigger, longer story than that because, like, the state of New York has a lot of legalistic red tape in general.
Yeah.
The county where the property is has, I think they said something like 70 different camps in that county alone.
Wow.
And the Young Life is sort of the gold standard. But because other people are not the gold standard, they have extra rules and they can pop in and ask for all of your health forms at any given moment. And you could, I think it's like you could find $1,000 per
kid.
health form that's wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so all the stuff and whatever else. Just all that to say, I then started my second marathon, which was a week of camp with high school kids.
Right.
For the first time in 17 years. And you typically want a 5-to-1 ratio, kid to leader ratio.
Yeah.
Well, I got 8 guys going with me, except there's 2 guys from Woodland Hills and they don't have a guy leader. So I have 10 guys. That's not 5-to-1.
Right.
That's 10-to-1.
Yeah, checks out.
Thanks. Beyond that, I only know 4 of them going into this trip.
Right.
As I mentioned earlier, you typically want to have an existing relationship and you've earned the I mean, you always get a couple kids. Bevon signed up the night before and he's been with Young Life ever since. But typically you want to have a relationship because it'll make the week at camp better. Like I'm not just an adult. I'm somebody who's here to love you, to lead you. I've earned the right to be heard. And you're going to, you already know that I care about you. So it's better for not breaking rules, whatever else. I've always led with a little bit of a heavy hand in that regard. Like I'll kill you kind of thing if you do things like that. Scare them a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I say all that to say we go to camp. We think the biggest problem is the heat. It's 95 degrees. The only room that is air conditioned is the main meeting room, the club room. And that was challenging. It was. But then we also had a norovirus outbreak where kids were dropping left and right with this stomach bug. And that ended up being a big problem. 2 of my guys got it. Praise God, I didn't. But I say all that to say, on day 3, so we get there Saturday, we have all day Sunday, and then after lunch on Monday, we've had an activity. It's been fun. You have free time. And frankly, I'm kind of bored. So I'm like, I've been down the slides 6 times. They have great big water slides. And it's funny because one just goes straight down and the other one's more of a turny thing.
Yeah.
And so the guys, they humor themselves by screaming as if it's the scariest thing in the world every time they go down the twisty one.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I would say, that's the sound his dad made when he was born. Or that's the sign when, and they would think it was the funniest thing in the world and it just wasn't that funny. But I decided I'm going to start having, at the end of camp, you have one-on-ones with the kids and you say, hey, you've heard, you take them from day 1, hey, there is a God, through sin, through the cross, through the resurrection, and how to have a relationship with him. And so you want to get with each kid by the end of the week, which with 10 was going to be challenging.
Yeah.
And you sort of get with them one-on-one. And you give them a little opportunity to give you feedback and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. Probably the most famous one-on-one that ever happened was Dick Shorthouse. If those of you who know him, he's very old, senior, crazy, delightful, godly man of God.
Yep.
Walked away with a guy named Matthew, who was a devout Jew, and he'd been there all week, and I had people at home praying for him and everything else. For those of you who join us at the table who are Jewish, you're some of our favorite people, but we'd love for you to know Jesus. I'm just going to say it out loud.
Yep.
So there goes Dick, and he walks away with Matthew, and not your cousin Matthew. He's never been Jewish.
No.
But and so Dick comes back with this little smirk on his face, and he goes, "Well, Matthew did it." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Stay Jewish." So I decided, hey, let's get ahead of it. I got 10 guys. I want to get with them early on. And they talked about the woman that had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. And that after she was healed, she told Jesus everything. And the speaker had said this the night before. Does anybody in your world know everything about you? Or do you live a very guarded life? And he said, maybe this week, a trusted friend or maybe even your leader, you could open up to them and let you into their world. That's the entire prompt. Every night we have cabin time. So Saturday night, Sunday night, this is Monday. We've spent 15, 20 minutes talking about what the speaker talked about, reviewing the day. But again, I'm bored. It's hot, whatever. So we're at the pool area. A couple guys are in the hot tub, which I don't know, man, 95 degrees and they're sitting hitting in the hot tub. And I told them, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Ooh, we could almost do that now. I said, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you don't have to answer because I have not earned the right to ask this question to 6 of the 10 guys. Mm-hmm. And the 4 that I know, there's Nick the Rat. I've earned the right with him. Corey, he's another volleyball player, kind of. And then Gio, kind of. I've seen him around the school, but I've never even done anything with him. And then Zay, I've hung out with once. So it's not even like I've been to the wars. Nick the Rat's the only one. And by the way, I call him Nick the Rat because that's somebody else's nickname, but his name is Nick. So I call him Nick the Rat. The fact that he does look a little weaselly doesn't hurt the point. 3 questions. Number 1, what is something that's happened to you in your life? Not your fault. It happened to you that you really wish hadn't happened. Number 2, what is something you did you'd like a redo? You're bad. And number 3, what is something everybody believes to be true about you, but you think on the inside, nah, that's not true. And if you only knew. So, anybody want to answer any of those? I had one guy share with me. I won't say who because I want to, maintain confidentiality. But he's like, I got something easy I could just say or something hard. And I said, buddy, it's up to you. Tell me whatever you want to tell me.
This is in one-on-ones?
Mm-hmm. Sitting in a pool, hanging out. And my inner monologue, by the way, flying. Like I'm just zip, zip, and who's walking over here and this and that. Focus on the person, focus on the person. Zip, zip. And then I see a staff person walk by and I now know they see me doing one-on-ones. And you don't do one-on-ones on day 3. And I'm like, yeah, that's how the old timer does it, pal. Listening to your story. And so he opens up and shares a family hurt that was horrific, is horrific. And then he compounds it with something else that happened. And then compounds it one more time with the death of a family member. And I'm sitting there staring at him and nodding my head and everything else. And I emotionally respond to him. And then I look at him and I go, that was the hard one though, right? Because he's like, I'm torn between easy and hard. If he's like, no, that was the easy one. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do. So nobody wants to answer any of those?
What was the second question about
Something
something a
you
redo?
did, you're like, man, I would really like
This was later into adulthood, and again, let's bring in social media, lovely Facebook. I was angry about an issue. I'm not going to go into all that, but
Sure.
I defriended the person. But it was more out of emotion, quickly thing, but not thinking of the ramifications after. And the next morning I wake up to a really nasty Facebook message, a private message about it.
Wow.
And they called me on it.
Ooh.
And it was just I felt like the worst person because I didn't get the opportunity to really it was kind of they made up their mind, they were done, and they I think I did respond, but I don't think it was
you can justify it and excuse your decision away 1,000 times over.
Sure, both ways.
But seeing the ramifications.
Yeah, and I've run into this person, and it's
awkward.
Hi, okay, yeah, it's.
But you and Chris are okay now.
Yeah.
I was waiting because I'm like, I got to emotionally respond first. I mean, it's awkward at times, but
Yeah.
no, and
That was
I
tough.
mean, and that's years ago
Yeah.
and still fresh.
Yeah. Like that's the first thing that came to my mind when you.
Isn't that
asked
crazy when that
It was.
happens?
Yeah.
Anybody else? You don't have to.
I remember, so growing up, like, me having a high need of acceptance and belonging. I should have just focused on the other people in my like group, peers and whatnot, that also gave me like the same amount of attention.
You should have stopped yearning for
Yearning for
those who didn't want you.
right. And or there'd be times where like somebody might be making fun of another person because they're not the cool kid. They might be the overweight kid or the smelly kid or whatnot. And one thing that really I won't mention any names, but there's one girl that took a brunt of a lot growing up. And I think it probably impacted her because, your hurt's got to go somewhere. And later on in life, those things, if you don't heal those hurts, they come up. And this person ended up committing suicide. And I just felt really bad because, like, I was like, man, I could have been a way better person, way better friend, back then. And, so that it doesn't like weigh on me, but I'm like, man, there's a lot out there I wish I could redo.
And that's a good example of sort of the regrets of omission. You didn't do anything,
Right.
but that's the point.
Right.
You didn't do anything.
Right.
And what if, and
Yeah.
could I have?
It's the last episode of Seinfeld.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Samaritan's Law.
Yeah.
Social Samaritan's misstep. I don't know. I got nothing.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
Seinfeld?
Nope.
Not one episode?
Nope.
Not one clip? You lie. I probably showed you clips.
I've seen clips.
Right. Now you admit it.
Guess what we're doing on vacation, buddy?
All Seinfeld all
Going
the
to the
time, and I'll finally get to watch
That's
Chef.
Joe's redo. He's redo.
That's the new thing
I
I'm
want to
looking
watch
for.
Seinfeld, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Cheers, Frasier,
Coach Lasso, Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso,
It's a big one. Have you seen it?
No, we don't have Apple TV.
Right.
any Rocky movie.
Wow.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Godfather,
Nope.
No. I've never
Money
seen
Pit.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite
it. Yeah.
movie.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Point of the story is this. For me, it was funny. One of the kids said to me, well, what's something that people think about you that on the inside you go is not true? He flipped it on me.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I was like, oh, I live a pretty transparent life. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
everybody, I said, I think it's that I'm kind of a bigger jerk than they think. I said, people know I'm kind of a jerk. I said, but like, I think some pretty terrible things.
Yeah.
And these guys were making fun of each other a lot. And, and they couldn't keep it. I mean, there's very junior high, the younger guys. I
Had something locked and loaded, did you?
well, no. But I told them, I said, guys, we're here to lift each other up. We got everybody in our world that's tearing us apart and they want to see us fail. We should be the ones who should be building each other up. And even if not that, then don't tear each other down. And I said, and you're tempting me. I said, because you're tempting me to tear you down. I said, you need to understand, I'm very good at it. I
Yeah.
said, and I will leave you all in tears. And there were a couple times where I was like, hey, no. I mean, one kid was, hey, like he was doing something, like going to jump off the bunk or whatever. He's like, tell my mom I love her. And I was so locked and loaded with, well, I'll be seeing.
No.
I remember when Bella gave you permission to like unload on her, and then she's like, "Why are you so mean? How do you think of all these things?"
Because I'm not riddled with anxiety, little girl. Oh, wow. Now I'm being mean to myself.
I have a driver's license.
Oh, daggone.
Dang, bro.
Whoa.
Bella, sorry. Love you.
So as I asked those questions, and what's funny is if I'm to answer the first question, something I wish didn't happen to me. I mean, yeah, there's some obvious ones, but yet living as I have and aggressively asking God why, there's you kind of go, well, I guess they were supposed to happen. Whether it's
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
some
like
terrible betrayals. I've had those.
Yeah.
But boy, that God used that to
Right.
go to this and that.
Right.
Loss of my child. Would I like to have Trey back? Sure, assuming that was God's will. But okay, well, that led to this and that. I interrupted you.
I was just gonna say, being who we are, and we know Jesus, and we know, that He uses tough times for better good and whatnot. if you're not in that mindset, you probably can't see that.
No.
You
Right.
know, in a lot of situations. You know, we have a whole new friend group because of some of the things that have happened in the past. That like
Sure.
at the time I might have regretted it, but now like I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what impressed me was 4 of them specifically shared horrific stories, including the one, the guy that really did, but 4 of them did. And really I can argue, no, 4 shared terrible stories, very open, honest, and vulnerable. To be fair, on the first question, things that happened to them that they wish didn't happen.
Yeah.
Nobody, and again, they're kind of good kids to a degree, because like the worst of the regrets, I was like, oh, buddy. Like,
Give it time.
I'm like, I committed 5 things worse than that
On the way here.
while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Just with my thoughts.
Yeah. But I mean, really big hurts. And it made me think, like, with 3 of the 4, I hadn't earned the right to be heard.
Yeah.
I'd not spent, and in the 4th, you know what I mean? Like, I know him, he knows me, but I don't, I've just known him for years loosely, seen me around. Now, so here's what I want to talk about. And the other ones, by the way, nobody was skimping out on the answers. Everybody was honest.
That's great.
But the 4 things these guys shared, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, that is unbelievable. Including one guy who shared a recent hurt. And he's a guy I just met on the camp trip. And he is a person of color, which is important because he had a stack of books, which what cat is bringing books to Young Life Camp?
Right.
And the top one was Black Labor, White Wealth. And I'm like, oh, so you're a thinker. But I say all that to say, well, clearly he understands the difference between white and black. And yet he chose to open up to me about who he is. And what he opened up to me, he actually answered the 3rd one and said, people think I'm closed off. And people think that I have an angry face. And I'm like, well, it's because your face is pretty angry. But he said, it's just me trusting somebody. It's hard for me to trust somebody. Which, like, the tear went down my cheek because I'm like, you're trusting me right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's funny is his eyes brightened up and he became somebody else.
Yeah.
And the person who did know him said, you're never going to believe this, but he's hilarious. And I was like, I don't believe you. Because he looks very, I mean, the other girls in the school called him Uncle because he's like their uncle. He's a junior in high school.
Yeah.
But because he's this old, angry man. But
Are these all high school kids or is it
oh,
junior?
yeah, high school. Well, yeah, funny you should say that. No, I'll say I told my boss today. I told JB.
All right.
I'm walking with, there were 2 sets of brothers that went, and the one set of brothers, I'm talking to the older one, and I said, so you're going to be a junior next year, right? He goes, yeah, junior. I'm like, oh, so your brother's going to be a sophomore? He goes, no, freshman. And I went, you mean he was a freshman? He's going to be a sophomore. He goes, no, he's going to be a freshman. I said, did he get held back at all? He
Yeah.
goes, no. And I went, oh, yeah, he shouldn't be here. Because it's only for
Right.
having been through 9th grade.
Yeah.
But I was like, and I told JB about it today. He's like, yeah, that happens. You know?
Sure, it's not the first time. Yeah.
No. But my point is, having not earned the right to be heard on many levels, these 5 kids, if you include Uncle, opened up to me. And so what I wanted to talk about here is that an anomaly? Is that a cultural thing now? Do teenagers open up quicker than adults? Because it's, you know, but if I would have taken 10 adults from our community to a camp, day 2, 3, pull them aside, ask them the same questions, would they have given me the same depth of answers?
Yeah. It depends on the adult. Because, like, I think I'm going to say no in general. But depending on what that person has been through and how much trust. Because, like, there's so much, since if you're talking about the adults, they've gone through much more. They've been through maybe more hurt. More things have happened. And maybe they haven't been able to trust other people or they're hesitant to because of other situations that they've dealt with in the past. One thing I thought you were going with the kids is, are they more open to say things now versus like 20 years ago? That's kind of an interesting thing because it's been 17 years. Mm-hmm. Do you notice a difference like between back then kids opening up versus now?
I would say kids have always opened. I mean, I've never asked these three questions before. It's part of the cool thing for me doing this now is I have, when I left staff, I didn't know what I know now about emotional responding.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Had not been through the wars of the Trey years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a different person now.
Sure.
Right.
In many different ways. So I wouldn't have known to ask these questions back then. But no, I've always thought that kids have been very open and honest with me.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, like, if social media, phones,
I was thinking
was
that.
thinking
as
that
well.
coming
too,
into play of like
'cause-
maybe people being more hesitant.
You would think now they're more hesitant.
Right.
Right.
Well, no, I think they're more open
I was-
now
see, that's where
because
I
of
was going.
social media. It's a lot easier to get out there
Interesting.
online and,
It's a bigger
'Cause you
net
ha-
to cast for people to
Absolutely.
listen to you.
and be relatable and connect with people that's also struggle with some of the same
Yeah,
things.
but like going on like a more intimate one-on-one.
Sure, that's very vulnerable to be.
Is way
one-on-one.
different than just posting something ominous online or posting a beef online or something like that, or group
Because that
chat.
is the argument I thought you were going to make, which is, well, twofold. Social media makes you be more fake and,
Right.
and project what you want people to,
Right.
to believe
Sure.
about you.
Yeah.
And also, we all know that this generation, Gen Alpha, or even Gen Z, which you're part of, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but it's okay.
You're a
an
good one.
anomaly.
You're a good one, yeah.
He's one of the
He's
good
a
ones.
good
Hey,
boy.
done.
honorary millennial
Are
over here.
progressively
Zillennial.
have less ability to communicate in person.
Say that again.
Right.
That as the generations go down from millennial to Gen Z to Gen Alpha,
Yeah.
they do not like to have one-on-one communication.
Right.
I think, as the youngest one here, probably.
Chronologically.
We'll go with it.
All right. I think the answer to your question, what if you took 10 adults aside? I think in the same scenario, yes, they would open up. Because,
The adults.
yeah.
Okay.
Because what you say, you didn't know to ask these questions 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think if presented with those questions in that environment,
Yeah.
I think anyone would answer. I think it's an vulnerable enough place where that's the tone of what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
Right. It's allowed. It's
anyone
not
would-
judging.
I think anybody would answer, but maybe
Like, honestly, I think
not to that. Maybe it's not like the worst thing they ever did, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
well, but I don't know that the guys did either. They answered
sure.
the worst that's happened to them.
Sure.
And I agree with you,
Right.
sort of. And the one thing I pulled 6 of the 10 were hanging out. And I said, hey, guys, just so you know, I'm going to be pulling you aside one by one.
I was going to
I've
ask
set
that.
the expectation.
So they had some preparation.
And you I said, you guys can answer if you want to. You
Yeah.
don't have to if you don't want to. I just want to give you guys the opportunity
Yeah.
to share. And then they saw one by one, I pulled people over. So if I did that with adults and said, hey, I'm going to ask you these questions. I didn't say what the questions were beforehand. That they might be more likely to do that.
I would still think yes.
Yeah.
Let's ask this question. Given the same amount of time, I bet there's where I'll go with no. Like if it's people that I know, then yeah, they would. But people that just met me 3 days earlier, I think an adult might be more guarded.
Sure.
You think not? He thinks.
I'm thinking about it.
I see that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not stating that, but I'm saying that's an added variable.
Yeah, and also I think it depends. Yeah, I mean, it also depends on those 3 days and how much you've revealed of yourself. But see, you're a very open, honest, and vulnerable guy, so I feel like
Right.
right.
people would be more comfortable
Sure.
with someone like
And
you.
very relational and approachable
Yeah.
and not judgmental and
I think yes.
Okay.
Can I?
Please do.
Because if, like, two sides of the coin, one, they don't have anyone to talk about this to. That's
Correct.
an area where, someone actually wants to be with me one-on-one and
Right.
listen and is going to ask me questions.
No, that's interesting.
yeah.
But then on the other side of the coin, I have a bunch of people I already talked to. Well, hey, this is a new area of
And it's-
people that would listen to me, you know?
that doesn't, because I very often will offer to help people. I'll say, listen, I probably did it this past week at camp with other staff people. I'm like, if you ever need anything, I know you have your people, but sometimes you need somebody who's outside of
Right.
Right.
your people.
Right.
And so in that regard, I'm that, I hate the phrase, safe space where they can be even more real that they can't be in front of the
Right.
other people.
Right.
I'm thinking of people going to therapy, right? Like you're like that's somebody outside of like I have a strong circle, but you can still go see a therapist that's completely unrelated and it can like
And
reflect
objective.
you like what they're seeing of you right back at you. The people that don't know you.
I apologize for laughing when you said therapist because it reminded me of a thing I saw on Twitter. And a guy said, or a girl, I don't remember which. The other day in therapy, my therapist said, all right, you're going to have to give me a minute as I process that. And they said, I am so close to breaking them.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is sort of sad. Well, because I was thinking, knowing these kids and knowing, because a lot of this is predicated on the fact that when we have hired staff people for Young Life in the past 6 years, some of the committee would say, this isn't like other areas. It's hard to do Young Life in Woodland Hills and in Penn Hills. And each and every interview, I would go, I wholeheartedly disagree.
Yeah.
Because in general, people, and specifically kids, just want to be loved.
Yeah.
And okay, so we are a lower socioeconomic district. We do have a high rate of divorce in our area. Yeah, these kids are desperate to be paid attention to have their emotional needs met,
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, with another level
and to be
with the
loved.
kids.
So,
yeah.
given all that, I wonder if here is an adult male in these young men's lives who is entirely focused in this moment on you. And so they're seeking the love and attention of a adult role model in their life. And I'm not saying all my guys have good or bad fathers, whatever. Whereas adults, boy, you've been open before and you've gotten burned
Yeah.
by other
Oh,
adults.
sure.
Yeah.
So whereas these guys are like, man, this guy wants to listen to me. Nobody listens to me.
Right. Right.
Whereas an adult is going, yeah, you're just like that other person that I opened up to
Yeah.
and I got burned on.
Right.
But all that goes out the window, as Joe said. He thinks adults. I think given, and let me ask you this question.
I agree with that.
With what?
With what you just
In the
said.
right.
I also.
Oh yeah.
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 Which the very first night, it's such an amazing spiritual battle beyond norovirus and heat waves and heat exhaustion, which I was so excited. One of my guys, it was this Tuesday, so it's 95. We've been telling everybody. We now know the norovirus is out there. I'm washing my hands. What are we talking about here? I mean, I'm sorry, Joe.
It's gone upside down.
And so, and I'm telling, and I'm spraying everybody with suntan lotion, spraying just for anybody. I'm not like, oh, come to Jay's, but I'm making them drink water, whatever. We get ready for dinner, and this one guy comes in, and he's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, because none of my guys have gotten it yet. This is Monday. And I'm like, oh, man. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take a cold shower. I just had a milkshake, and it's not sitting well with me. Takes a shower, comes out. I feel better. Sweet. We go to dinner. I look at him, head on the table, hasn't eaten a bite. And I'm like, that's not good. So then, and they're like, hey, everybody. Hey, we're going out the side of the dining hall tonight, which means somebody threw up on the way in.
Yeah.
And I talked to the head leaders like, well, don't put him in the club room. That's no good. And he's giving me an update the whole time. 10 is I throw up, Jay. 10 is I throw up. Where are you? 7-2. 7-2, Jay. 7-2.
It's like Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, on a pizza review.
Yeah. One bite
Or
pizza
feed
review.
Bob on his waters and whatever else. And we went up and down and up and down. I'm talking to head leaders and club starts and all this kind of stuff. And then we get him sorry, it's one of my favorite stories. I don't think I've told any of you yet. There was a guy there who had Down syndrome, and he had his own individual. It wasn't a Capernaum trip. He was just with another group. And the kids were all getting Freezy Pops when they came out of the club room. And so I got him one ahead of time, and he's laying down, he's rallying, whatever else. And as it turns out, it was heat exhaustion, because I asked the one staff guy, hey, this norovirus, how does it hit? Is it like, when do you start feeling sick versus, he goes, oh, instantaneously.
Yeah.
He goes, that's why you're seeing the throw up all over camp in really unfortunate places. Well, my guy's been losing it for 3 hours at this point. And I was like, wait, how much did you drink all day? He's like, oh, I lost my
A
water
milkshake.
bottle. And I'm like, and then you went on the zip line, then you went tubing, then you played basketball, then you got a milkshake?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's probably not a good choice. And I'm like, so then you got a shower that was cold, felt better. When in the dining hall that was hot, felt worse. Then as the sun went down and you had a freezy pop, you felt better. He's like, yeah. He goes, the other thing that really helped me, he goes, was talking to my new buddy, Steve. And Steve is the kid who has Down syndrome. And he came and sat next to him on the bench. And I'm like, that is the sweetest thing, because my guy isn't the sweetest guy. And for him to talk to this kid with Down syndrome for a long time, and he goes, yeah, Steve's really down on his luck. He's going through a divorce. And we're in cabin time, and we all go, I'm sorry.
Right?
Steve's
Yeah.
Steve, the 17-year-old? I'm like, the kid with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Is going through a divorce. He goes, I just let him roll with it, man. He was being real. Just really spoke
so
to my
good.
heart about the struggle. I didn't have to break it down. And I was like, man, there's something to be learned from that. So,
So good.
how did I get there? Oh, the tough times of norovirus.
Yeah, okay.
Very real norovirus. And then the spiritual battles that go on. What was the thing that made me think of spiritual battles?
you were
I
gonna
know what
ask-
it was, because the very first night we've had cabin time. It's a good night. I've earned the right for whatever degree. I've threatened them just the right amount that they're not going to sneak out. All that stuff. I'm the last one, because I'm the last one. I'm in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and they're getting louder, 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 because of course they're fighting with each other. They're saying bro 1,000 times.
Bro.
So then I open up the door and I say, guys. Yeah, okay. Close the door, go back in the bathroom, which is right there. Louder, 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 louder. Guys. Other people are still having cabin time. They need quiet. Oh, hey, sorry, Jay. As soon as I close the door, louder, louder. So I fling the door open. And I go, do I got to go dad mode? Is that what I have to do? Can't I be the nice guy? You're going to make me be the dad of the group? And I close the door and I'm like, well, most of them don't have dads there, Jay. That wasn't the best thing that you could have said in this given moment.
It immediately goes to 1,000.
Yeah, -1 for Jay in that moment. So, and I told this story in church, but I will tell you, one of our guys did get it, the norovirus. Threw up from 3:30 till 7 in the morning and diarrhea. And he had to stay in the bathroom to keep him away from everybody else. So poor kid, just done for. Everybody else goes to breakfast. I let him get out and get into his bed. After breakfast, one of the Rugrats, who hasn't eaten anything all week, 4 days, I think he's had some croutons, 2,000 Airheads, jelly fruit, or whatever, gummy fruit. And even so that the guys were trying to convince him to try new food, like a tater tot or a boneless wing he'd never tried before. Wouldn't try a stromboli
Wow.
because it's not pizza.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's pizza folded over. No. He comes in, man, breakfast was delicious. And I threw him out. And later on, I went up to him and he was going to say it again. He did say it again. And I wanted to lay into him on how rude that was to say that to our poor friend who's just been throwing up and having diarrhea for 6 hours. But I realized, no, he just wanted me to be proud of him for finally eating something. And that one I caught ahead of time.
Yeah.
So all that being the case, it was a lot of fun and they were very open and honest. And I hope that we all are. I should add, somebody was very open with me and sent me a private message and after camp about their life. And I said to Rachel, we lead, like you said, Eric, very open and honest and vulnerable lives. We're very transparent. And I think if we are that to other people, it gives them the best shot at being that back to us.
Right.
And I'm a pretty attractive guy. So I think
They're lining up.
I see. Now that's Tommy's line. Tommy always tells Jan, honey, they're lining up. Look at them outside, just waiting to take your place. My line is, do you know how many women would love to be in your shoes right now? You can all say it at the same time. Rachel says,
Not.
Gross.
false.
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 I think we were all correct.
In your own little way. So that's all I had for that. I encourage everybody to be open and honest and vulnerable. And just like the speaker said to the campers, I hope there's somebody out there who knows everything about you, because the reality of it is Jesus does know everything about you.
Right.
And I say that because I've had this conversation with many people recently, and by many I mean several. That when you hold that sin in, when you hold that shame in, when somebody says to you, Amy, you're a great mom, and you're a good wife, and you're a good friend, you go, oh, thanks. And inwardly you go, no. But if you only knew. When we hold our darkness in and don't let anybody else into it, and certainly not the forgiveness of Christ, then the enemy, somebody can try to love you all they want. You won't receive it.
Right.
Because you automatically make them out to be not a liar, but wrong, because they don't really know the whole truth. And that's what the enemy does with darkness. So we should avoid that.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it for episode 289. Join us in 2 weeks for episode 290.
How long?
2 weeks. Between now and then, please give us a like or a follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome. Bye.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Congratulations, John Smith.
Bye.
Bye.